This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Showtime, Shawn Porter is with me. My friend, it's a pleasure.
I'm not his friend, we just met.
It is brilliant to have a chance to sit down and talk. Just a little one from me. So I remember just after you retired in 2020 when I met you in Las Vegas and you said, look, I'm not up for media right now. I'm still processing retirement and the defeat to Terence Crawford. But one day we're going to do something.
I never said that.
You said one day we're going to do something.
I'm sure I said that.
And you stuck to your word. Los Angeles, 3 years later.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting 3 years to sit down with Showtime.
3 years? 3 years or 3 years?
3 years. Free. Or three. Sorry,
Yeah.
I speak in the Queen's English.
Yeah. Happy to see you again then.
Thank you, my friend. You too. You're a Vegas resident, so a short flight from there to Los Angeles. Two of your final 3 fights were in Los Angeles as well. What does this place mean to you?
LA's just pretty cool. I started working for Fox 2018, so I started coming out here to do a lot of work. I was coming out, I think, twice a month doing work on Fox, doing a network and studio show. And so it's actually more special for me when I come to LA because I get to think of those moments. But, of course, the moment I had with Errol Spence Jr. Live at the Staples Center, you can't forget that one. That one's amazing. So, more than anything, I'm happy to have a big fight, big event out here for boxing. And too far, too long for something like this to go down in LA.
Yeah, a big event it certainly is. Before we talk about why we're here this week in Los Angeles, although I'm sure everyone watching knows exactly why, I want to know a little bit about life and retirement for yourself. What's a normal day in the life of Mr. Shawn Porter?
A little unpredictable because I'm not someone that really, I don't like to schedule things. I'm very spontaneous. However, because I have so many different business ventures going on, I would say it's funny. A day in the life of Shawn Porter is a lot of meetings that sometimes I forget about. Sometimes I double book myself. Sometimes I just put off certain things. It's funny, man. My ring name is Showtime, but that's kind of how I am. Everything's about timing for me. And so sometimes I put off some things, and it's like I put them off so long, but ends up being the perfect timing when I do eventually get around to them. I've got 3 kids now, so definitely got a loud, fun, busy house all day, every day, especially summertime. They're out of school right now. And I'm married, so a lot of headaches through the days. A lot of headaches. I would say my days are pretty fun and just doing the best I can to try to be successful. Trying to stomp, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Trying to stomp. I love it. We've got Showtime completely on board and we're only a couple of minutes in. You say you like being quite spontaneous. Do you think that might be because you've been so routine for so long? Like a professional fighter lives a very routine life. So when you get the chance to not be routine, everything's kind of free, and that's perhaps why you enjoy it?
I think it's yes and no. I haven't purposely been spontaneous because I was so regimented. However, that's how boxing is. It's like you're very, very regimented through a training camp, and then when training camp fight's over, it's like I got time to just kind of relax and be free. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now, even though I'm very business oriented now, got a lot of different things going on, still has more room to just be free. So I think that I've kind of spoiled myself a little bit, but definitely getting on the ball more nowadays.
Yeah, well, one thing you are doing is churning out some clips. The Porter Way podcast, I see it on Instagram all the time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely getting the plug that it's worth.
Thank you.
I guess as someone who has boxed themselves but loves boxing as much as you do, sitting down and talking about it is probably one of the most enjoyable things you can do.
You would think that. That's what you would think. I've always known I wanted to be a broadcaster. I might sound crazy, but I didn't know it was going to be boxing. Like I played football growing up my whole life. I love watching football. I just thought I was going to be in the studio talking sports in general. But obviously boxing being the thing that I chose to do and all those kinds of things. The thing that I have learned and enjoy most about talking boxing is I've learned how to connect boxing to just about anything in the world. And that to me is what makes me special or sets me apart from anyone else that talks boxing. It's like we can talk boxing, but I can connect it to family. We talk boxing, but I can connect it to rugby or football or, so many different things going on in life that, to me, that's what makes me really excited to talk boxing. I know it very well, but I also know how to connect it to anything else.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, anything you do in front of the camera, pardon me, and yes, this might be coming from a bit of a fanboy perspective, because I think it's hard not to be a fanboy of yourself. I think anything you do is very vibrant, very interesting, very entertaining.
Yeah.
And like I said, the podcast is brilliant too. Did you go into broadcasting thinking about the way you wanted to do things? So I know there are some people who might go in purposely and go, I'm going to be the controversial voice, the voice that everyone goes, ooh, did you see what he said the other day?
Yeah.
Did you go in with a way to do it, or was it just speak my mind and let things roll?
I went in with two things. Growing up, I would always listen when I would watch boxing. I felt like the commentators weren't giving this commentary of the fight 50-50. They were so one-sided. And so my thing as a kid, I was like, when I do it, I'm never going to be one-sided. I'm always going to be right down the middle. So I've always had that intent to play it right down the middle. I don't care how big your name is. I'm going to make sure I'm talking about the other guy, because you wouldn't be in here without the other guy. That whole thing. But the other thing, too, is the intent to be exciting, the intent to be entertaining, and the intent to make sure that everybody has fun. That's always been my thing. If I'm not having fun doing it, then you're not having fun listening to it. And what are we doing? I will literally hear commentators, and I will rewind it like, wait a minute, that's a knockdown. Why are we not getting excited? I'm sorry. Why are we not getting excited about this knockdown? You know what I mean? And so I've always felt that way. I felt like when I sit ringside, it should be like we are at home. We're jumping up and down at home. We're having fun at home. We're cracking jokes in between rounds at home. Do it on air. Why wouldn't I be myself on air? So the good part about it is me as a person. I like to have fun. I like to be entertaining. So it's like I'm not forcing anything, and so that's been really the recipe to my success.
Yeah, I like it. You're right in the sense that I think when watching it, you kind of want to feel like perhaps you're with your friends.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the sofa and the person involved on the TV is getting involved in your conversations.
Yeah.
Right, time to move on to why we're here. Like I said, I'm sure everyone watching knows exactly why. Bud takes on Israel Madrimov up at 154 pounds. A really, really exciting prospect of what we're going to get in the ring at the BMO on Saturday night.
Yeah. What I don't like about this fight is that people understand numbers. And I don't hate that people understand numbers. However, when you got 40 against 10, it's like, what are we talking about? But the dude, Israel Madrimov, he really is a good boxer. He's exciting. And I think if boxing was in a different space and we saw more of 30-0 versus 15-0, we saw more of 25-0 versus 8-0, then this 10 versus 40 would make sense. On paper, you look right past it, but I think on fight night, you'll be looking right at it.
Yeah. So from an experience perspective, I mean, he's been on the biggest stage for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
You think going into that ring on Saturday night, there'll be, I guess, a nerveless Terence Crawford?
No, not nerveless, because we always know what's in front of us. And when you know what's in front of you, you always have, you look at Terence Crawford, he's always got the same face, that same look, because he knows what's in front of him. I don't care if you're 10-0, I don't care if you're 1-0, I don't care if you're 17, I don't care if you're 37. There's a threat in front of me, and I got to do what I got to do, So I think that the severity that he brings to the ring is the nerve that is what he has. I was always excited to fight, you know what I mean? So my nerve was excitement. My nerve wasn't really apprehension. not apprehensive. Like I'm about to get in the ring in front of, 5,000 people, 10,000 people, and who knows who's watching. And I'm gonna make sure they all are excited about what I'm doing. So we always have nerve. It just, our nerves are always a little different.
Yeah, I want to talk about your fight with Terence.
I don't.
Just from your perspective, what are your standout memories of the week as a whole?
The week?
Yeah.
I missed. Oh. I shouldn't have. Y'all wouldn't have known that I missed if I hadn't said it.
Yeah, we could have. Yeah, you could have gone like.
Just cut that out, right? Yeah. What was the week like?
Yeah, just your memories of kind of the beginning of fight week from arriving until leaving.
Yeah, the fight was in Vegas. One of the few fights I've had in Vegas, and it was an intense week.
Probably enjoy it when it's so intense.
That fight week, I didn't get to enjoy as much as I enjoyed the fight week with Errol Spence. I of all of my fights, I probably didn't enjoy this one as much, and so things that I won't go into, but I had a lot going on, and maybe bad timing for that to be a fight in Vegas. Just a lot going on, but I would say fight week was busy, and made the best of it. Yeah, I have I have 3 kids, and I had my oldest on the stage with me during the press conference, and I'm trying to think of what we were doing. I can't think of it, but we were doing something. Shit, I can't remember now, but I had him on the stage, come on stage for a purpose, and the way timing was going and TV was going, we didn't have time for us to do what we were gonna do, and it's coming back to me now. If you're happy and it, say showtime, and he would go showtime, and so I wanted to kind of, again, like, I like to have fun, and so that was one of the few moments that I was actually finding my way to having some fun and enjoying the moment. And even though I didn't get to do that with my boy on the stage, he came up, my dad brought him up, and we sat there for a moment, and it was still cool to give him that kind of experience. Another one, and then we can move on. They had this big poster coming down the pillars at Mandalay Bay, and my son took a picture in front of the poster with the same face that I had, and he walked around for months doing that same face. He wasn't there on fight night. He doesn't. I'm sure he doesn't even know that I lost the fight. You know what I mean? But to be able to have those kind of moments with my son during fight week was really cool.
Yeah, precious memories.
Yeah, sorry about that long ass response.
No, brilliant. This is the sort of stuff that us guys want to listen to.
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual fight, you get in the ring and we can watch Terence Crawford, and I'm sure we'll do so on Saturday, and appreciate the skill and the ability and the ring IQ.
Yeah.
But actually being stood opposite Bud, what can you tell us about what it's like being in there?
Listen, in retrospect, I appreciate it now. In the moment, no, I didn't appreciate it. Like the competition in front of me on fight night and Terence Crawford was something that I truly may have only experienced a handful of times in boxing, but as an amateur. So amateur was 4 2-minute rounds. You know what I mean? Like, I had that in my face for 10 rounds. You know what I mean? It was definitely hard to deal with, especially mentally. But he confirmed everything I had already known about him. And, if I could do it again, I would, actually. Yeah.
So can we expect you to try and clamber towards the ring?
No.
On Saturday night?
No. Nah.
Is there a little bit of something still there when you're around big fight weeks? Because
it's the only time it comes.
Okay.
And then I do. I have to. I'm not like on the edge, but I do have to talk myself off of the cliff. You know what I mean? And just remind myself, like, you're so far from being able to do this. And I know the things stopping me from being able to get in the ring. And but these big moments, these big fight weeks, oh man, they will make you, like the Grand Arrivals yesterday. There's no envy in my heart, but yesterday I definitely was just proud to see that moment. But yeah, if I could have a moment like that, definitely 100%.
I'm sure you've been offered many opportunities to have those moments.
They stopped coming. They stopped coming. I retired in 2021 in November. I think I got my first call maybe in January.
Oh, boxing's relentless. You tell people you're retiring and they're like,
I think I got my first call like in January, I think. Then a handful of, and by a handful, like maybe 2 or 3 other, like, hey, what are you doing? Those kinds of things. Not as much as you would think. I think
you made it sound like they rung you in quite a pretend we're not going to give him something sort of way. So they answer and go, hi, how's things? And you know what they're about to say, but they're giving you a couple of minutes of small talk just to smooth things over.
Yeah, and I think, but I think me being so adamant about being retired and not coming back, it didn't take long for people to say, no, he's not fighting. He's happy, Yeah.
We'll leave the fighting for there. You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see. One day, maybe.
No.
Floyd's still going, so.
Yeah, no. He's a different
Bud,
guy.
just one more thing on Bud. When he is to hang up the gloves, obviously we're not to know what he will achieve or have achieved even more by that point. But how will he be remembered in American boxing? So I feel like there's a little bit of a nostalgia effect in terms of like when you're a modern great, you're still perhaps never remembered in the same breath as those of the past.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because he was a champion at 135, right? And then he was a champion at 140. Now, when he was a champion at 140, there wasn't much going on in the division. So it was like, this is a quick in and out, and I'm on my way to 147. But when he was a champion at 135, the media didn't do him the justice that they should have done him. He didn't do himself any justice because he stayed away from the media. The way he's handling being a champion now at 36, if he was handling it this way at probably 26 when he first became a champion, he would have made it to this point much sooner of being an iconic fighter. He's becoming an iconic fighter on the end of his career, and it's unfortunate because I don't know. I think he's going to have this night and then maybe another big night in order for him to be realized as a true iconic boxer. He's definitely a generational fighter. And I think, you got the generational talent. I put myself in that mix. I think Keith Thurman fought himself out of being in the mix of being a generational fighter. Deontay Wilder, a generational fighter, the kind of power that you will never see. But then you have iconic and lifetime, the GOAT conversations. Terence Crawford will be in the GOAT conversations pretty soon.
Yeah. In terms of big nights that could come in the future for him, how does Crawford versus Canelo tickle your fancy?
I like it.
Yeah.
I do. I like it. I think that he will be strong enough if that fight should come into play. The small thing I worry about when it comes to Terence Crawford fighting Canelo Alvarez is Canelo's punch resistance to him, and if that punch resistance is there, how will Terence be able to stand up to a Canelo Alvarez punch? That's a different punch from probably anything he's tasted on fight night, So, but I give him, all of the if there's anything I would be willing to bet that he wins this fight, I'd be willing to bet it. I think that he's got everything that it takes to beat Canelo Alvarez.
It says a lot about the ability of a fighter that people try and kick him up as many weights as possible to see how far they can go.
That's usually what ends up happening. Yeah.
Eddie was saying it yesterday. He was like, I wonder how far Canelo Alvarez is going to be pushed before people have him at heavyweight or cruiserweight or whatever. Riyadh season now. Watching promoters work together, I mean, the amount of big nights and big fights and big fight weeks, even when you're not fighting, that you've been involved in, you've seen the politics firsthand, you'll know it better than many. To watch promoters all be friends, I'll use it in the bracket friends.
Say that again.
Is it a little bit odd to see the promoters just working together?
No, not for me. This is how it's supposed to be.
But supposed to be or not, are you not? Do you not find it odd?
Well, look,
like,
but
maybe from a British perspective, but seeing Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren shake hands is something that was never on my checklist.
That's over there. Like, we don't understand that over here. Again, like, we don't get to see Mr. Heyman in the public eye. You know what I mean? When we see De La Hoya or we see Bernard, they're usually smiling and chomping at someone else. You know what I mean? Bob sits in the first seat ringside at every single fight. You know what I mean? So we're used to seeing it, but even when you look at this right here, we know that promoters are working together, but we only see Eddie Hearn here. We don't see anyone else here. You know what I mean? So even though promoters are working together, they've basically just given their fighters to this promotion, knowing that the fighters are going to get paid. They're going to get paid. This is going to be a great night of boxing. What I would hope to see is that these fighters are able to continue to fight and be put in these positions no matter who's delegating the promotion of the fights.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's retired fighters who are watching on and thinking, why did Riyadh season not just come a little bit sooner?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not me, but there's a lot of retired fighters that see what's going on now. Even for me, there's some fighters, I won't name anyone, but they were like, when Heyman came along and started doing what he was doing, and you know, I was involved with Heyman and involved with PBC. There were quite a few fighters that had retired or were on their way to moving on, and they're like, man, I wish Heyman was around when I was turning pro. You know what I mean? This is the maturation of boxing, and I think it's about damn time that the business mature. The in-ring, the performance, that stuff is mature and it's continuing to mature. The business hasn't.
Yeah. Well, as long as
that's another conversation for another day.
As long as everyone's getting paid and paid handsomely.
Yeah.
That is exactly what we want. Just a couple of other US fighters that I'd like to discuss quickly. Shakur Stevenson. Talk to me about the last 18 months to 2 years. Your thoughts on Shakur as a fighter. I know he's faced tiny bits of criticism of recent performances.
You got to ignore it. He's perpetuating it now at this point. Ignore it. Do what you do. Be who you're going to be. And if they don't like it, as long as you're getting paid, as long as you're winning, as long as you're accomplishing the goals that you set out to accomplish, this is how I feel about it. I'm not really the social media era, so I don't gravitate to Twitter. I don't gravitate to, you know, those social media things, and I damn sure I'm not gonna argue with somebody that doesn't sit next to me when I have dinner. I'm not gonna argue with somebody that don't watch me brush my teeth in the morning. You know absolutely zero about me, so why should I even give you any time of day, you know? So he's got to stop. He's a great fighter. Keep being great, you know? And if they can't stop it, keep doing it.
Yeah, I like that. If you don't see me brush my teeth in the morning, then you're not someone that is worthy of my energy and my arguments.
Exactly.
Shakur's demanding big money at such a young age. Ridiculously talented fighter. I know there was a little bit of an on the rocks towards the end of Top Rank. Eddie Hearn's really interested in signing him. When you look at what he is now and what he can be, is he someone who could end his career in the Terence Crawford type mold in those conversations?
Say that again?
Is he someone who could end his career in those type of conversations that we have about Terence?
That's a great question. So here's my thing. And again, as great as he is, my thing is you have to execute and do what needs to be done with who's in front of you. You know, there's been quite a few fighters that he's gotten in the ring with that I think offensively he could have taken more advantage of, and he didn't. Terence Crawford not only is 40-0, almost 4 division world champion. We know all of his accolades, but he's performed and he's gotten the job done 40 times. It ain't like he just won 40 fights. He's won 40 fights in a way that you cannot deny his greatness. And that's the thing about Terence. He will not allow himself to be denied. You know, Shakur isn't putting on those kind of performances. He starts doing that, and yeah, he gets into that conversation. He's got some talent and some some abilities that I personally have never seen before, and I've been involved in the sport since I was 6 years old.
Yeah. Wow.
A couple more, because I got
big praise. Just one more, yeah, because you rushed for time. I do appreciate, like I said, you giving me this time. It's been brilliant to sit here and chat with yourself. So Shakur and Tank Davis. It's a brilliant fight.
Brilliant fight.
Everyone was talking about it yesterday. I know the rumours are heating up.
Yeah.
And you know, in the media circle, when everyone is looking at each other and already talking about how the fight's going to play out, that's how you know it's a fight that is in demand.
Yeah, they are not going to have peaceful promotions. They are not going to be able to face off. It's going to get mean, nasty, dirty, the whole nine. Cross our fingers that we make it to fight night. But when we make it to fight night, that to me is a 50-50 fight. Because as hard as you hit Tank Davis, you got somebody that can't be hit. I just think that's amazing. That's a hell of a fight. Yeah. Stay tuned for that one.
Stay tuned, and stay tuned to the Stomping Ground. Shawn Porter.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Any final words you'd like to say, especially to our UK fans?
No, the Stomping Ground, man. Continue to support this gentleman and everything that they're doing. I'm happy to do this interview today, and he caught up with me, y'all. I feel like he was stalking me, if I'm being honest. He's gonna ask for my number when we're done with this. He ain't getting it. But I hope to join you guys again. Hopefully we do something live and I can hang out with you guys a little bit. Enjoy this guy, man. Great, brilliant guy. You got everybody's watching, so I know you guys dig this kid, man. He's a good guy, man. Thank you. Thank you for the interview.